Tere tulemast Kantar Media Turunduspraktikate podcasti POINT+. Minu nimi on Alar, olen Tallinna Ülikooli BFMi turunduslektor. Minu kaassaatejuhiks on Kantar Media uuringu ekspert Aivar Voog.
Tere!
Nagu me oleme mõelnud, siis POINT+, me käsitleme teemasid, mis on aktuaalsed, mis on huvitavad turundajale, mis aitavad turundajal teha paremaid otsuseid. Täna me kindlasti käsitleme kõige kuumemat teemat, milleks on Ameerika Ühendriigi presidendivalimised ja selle tulemused. Meie põhifookus on täna Kantar Media regioonijuhil ja tema vaatest klientide harjumustele meediatarbimise osas. See lõik on meil ingliskeelne ja seda me siis teises osas kanname ette. Aga alustame siis kõige tähtsamast teemast, ehk mis siis on saanud Ameerika Ühendriikide presidendivalimiste tulemustest ja mida meie ette nägime oma uuringutes.
Et me räägime 6. novembri hommikul, ehk siis lõplik tõde veel 100% ei ole selgunud, aga on näha, et asi liigub Trumpi võidu suunas ja mis on siis põhiliseks erinevuseks võrreldes eelmiste valimistega, et enamikes kaalukeele osariikides Trump on võitnud. See, kus eelnevad uuringud näitasid seda, et kaalukeele osariikides seis on tasavägine, aga oktoobri keskpaiku ja oktoobri lõpp, mida rohkem oktoobri lõpu poole, siis oli näha, et Trumpi poole see asi kaldub nendes osariikides, kas või Pennsylvania või Nevada, et seal Arizona ja ütleme Põhja-Carolina ja Georgia oli juba selgelt Trumpi poole kaldu juba varem, aga just see Pennsylvania kaldumine Trumpi poole oli pigem siis oktoobri lõpuga seotud, mis peegeldab seda, et Trump suutis kõnetada neid võib-olla, kes otsustasid veel võib-olla viimasel hetkel valimistega liituda ja ikkagi minna valima ja Trumpi lõpuponistused olid edukamad kui Harris oma. Jällegi
on küsimus see, kes on kahel vahel, eks ole, kes ei ole veel otsustanud, siis nende hääl on selline otsustav hääl alati.
Ja siin sõltub on ju ikkagi hästi palju viimaste nädalate tegevusest, et kas sa kasutad selliseid sõnumeid ja need kõneisikud on sul sellised, kes kõnetavad sinu potentsiaalset toetajat, kes läheks valima ja valiks sind, et kindlasti Trump augustis ja septembris oli hädas, esimene telepattele ebaõnnestus, aga mida edasi, siis seda paremini ta nähtavasti suutis oma kommunikatsiooni oma potentsiaalsete valijateni viimistleda seda ja kasutada ainult neid olulisi sõnumeid, mis tema valimist toetaksid.
No meil Kantar Media andis välja just hiljuti ka andmed selle kohta, et 43 riigis tehti selline uuring, eks ole, et kuidas siis väljaspool Ameerika Ühendriike elavad inimesed erinevates riikides, keda nad nagu toetavad ja sealt tulid huvitavad tulemused, et teatud regioonides olid Trumpi pooldajad eesrinnas ja väga paljudes kohtades oli Kamala Harrise toetajad esirinnas, et kaasa arvatud Eesti, et kuidas sa neid kommenteerid, seda vaadet väljaspoolt?
No see 43 riigi uuring näitas seda, et enamus nende riikide elanikest toetas ikkagi Harrist, et siin oli selge vahe Trumpiga, et see protsent oli seal oli 50 ligi, et 50% nendest uuringus osalenud riikide elanikest siis toetas Harrist ja Trumpil oli see tema pooldajate või tema eelistajate osakaal oli üle 2 korra väiksem. Aga siin olid nagu olulised erinevused, et näiteks Serbia ja Gruusia ja Ungari ja Bulgaaria ja siis olid selgelt Trumpi eelistajad ja siis olid nagu mõnes mõttes üllatuslikud on ju, kui täpselt võib-olla tausta ei tea, et ka Sloveenia ja Tšehhi on eks, et Sloveenia ei ole, et need eespool kirjeldatud riigid on ju siis nagu Serbia ja Ungari eristuvad sellega, et nad on pigem nagu Venemaa sõbraliku poliitika viljelejadega, aga Sloveenia sattumine sinna esmapilgul võib tunduda juhuslikult, aga arvestada seda, et Trumpi abikaasa on sealt pärit on ju, ja Trumpi eelmine või üks eelnevatest abikaasadest on Tšehhimaalt pärit on ju, siis võib-olla siis see aitaks paremini mõista, mis pärast nendes riikides ka oli Trumpi osale eelistajate osakaal kõrgem kui Harrise oma, aga see, mida see uuring näitas seda, et inimeste ootus oli siis üldiselt selline, et Harrist loodeti saavad presidendiks, vähemalt meediast jäi selline mulje, et ja nad kartsid või et see ilmnes ka uuringust, et Harris peegeldas inimeste jaoks nagu suuremat stabiilsust, see tähendab seda, et tema tegevus tundub inimestele läbi meedia siis valgustatuna tundub nagu rohkem prognoositavam ja Trumpi valimine tähendab siis inimeste jaoks suuremat ebastabiilsust. Ehk siis kindlasti sellel Trumpi võidul on mingisugune mõju, et kuna ootus oli pigem siis Euroopas ja mujal maailmas ka, et Harris võidab siis ja Trump peegeldab pigem selliseid, võimendab neid hirme, et siis see ebakindluse periood, mis meil on kestnud päris kaua, et sa saab kindlasti mingisuguse jõnksu veel kehvemas suunas, et ta vähemalt ei anna võimalust ka jälle paremuse poole tarbija kindlustunde mõttes liikuda.
Ja seda me just rääksime, eks ole, et tarbija kindlustunne nüüd valitsuse tegevuse tõttu võiks nagu hakata stabiliseeruma, eks ole, et need kommunikatsioonid on kindlamad juba ja me teame enam-vähem, mis meid on ees ootamas. Ja nüüd selle sisse tuleb siis uus ebakindlus, eks ole, et mis siis nagu üleüldiselt maailmas saab pärast seda, kui Trump näiteks on jõudnud sinna Valgesse majja, eks ole.
Et jah, et see sõltub Trumpist, et mida ta tegema hakkab, aga vähemalt selle enne valimisi teostatud uuringute alusel Trump seostab pigem siis prognoosimatu käitumisega ja tekitab sellist pigem hirmu ja süvendab seda ebastabiilsuse tunnet inimestes. Et mis tegelikult toimuma hakkab, et eks seda näis siis järgneva aasta esimestel kuudel, et kui Trump saab tegeliku võimu enda kätte, et mis siis juhtuma hakkab, aga praegult selline niisugune ebakindlus jätkub, et ei ole ühtegi faktorit, mis seda võiks teistmoodi muuta, teistsuguseks muuta.
Ehk kui me nagu prognoosime seda, on ju, et kui nüüd tarbija kindlustunne, mis praegu ei ole kõige kõrgem, on ju, sellise stabiilsema valitsus käitumise tõttu peaks võib-olla 6 kuu pärast mingisuguse muutuse tegema, siis praegu me veel lõpuni ei tea, eks ole, et kui nüüd Trumpi selline tegevus viib suuremasse ebakindlusesse, siis see lükkub edasi, et siis võiks isegi öelda, et terve järgmine aasta me võib-olla ei tunneta väga suurt muutust tarbija kindlustundes, eks ole.
No siin sõltub, et tema ju, millega Trump ka endal poolehoidjad nähtavasti sai, et ta lubas ju Ukraina ja Lähis-Ida probleemid kiiresti ära muuta, et need kriisid ära lõpetada, et see oli üks tema valimiseelsetest lubadustest, mida ta ka selgelt väljendas kõige populaarsemas podcastis Joe Rogani selles podcastis, et ta lahendab need hästi kiirelt ja ma arvan, et nüüd sõltub, et kas see tegelikkuses ka hakkab midagi juhtuma järgmise aasta algul midagi selles suunas või mitte, et kui tõesti reaalselt toimuvad mingid nihked, et see julgeoleku oht ei suurene, või ei jää selliseks ebamääraseks, kus räägitakse, et võib midagi juhtuda, et julgeoleku ohutunnetus või ütleme siis julgeolekuga seotud hirmud vähenevad, et seoses mingite siis kokkulepetega või siis mingite läbirääkimistega, kus selline militaarse tegevuse osakaal järsult väheneb, et see võiks nagu mõjuda kindlasti. Aga näis, et seda me ei tea täpselt. antud hetkel?
No igal juhul igasugune muutus on alati problemaatiline turunduse jaoks ka, sest me ei oska nagu ette näha, eks ole, et kas me peaks panustama rohkem või vähem, on ju, peaksime hoidma tagasi, sest tarbijad ei tule kaasa või just nimelt tarbijad on nõus liikuma edasi ja selle tõttu me peaksime olema rohkem nähtavad, ehk kellegi jaoks selline ebakindlus ei ole hea ja see ongi üks jälle asi, miks meie jaoks oleks tähtis jälgida, eks ole, tarbija kindlustunnet, et kuidas ta parasjagu tunneb, et kas ta on optimistlikum, on ta pessimistlikum. Ja inimesed reeglina harjuvad olukordadega, eks ole, pandeemiaga ka algul oli väga suur ehmatus, on ju, keegi ei teadnud täpselt, mida tegema peab. Me nägime turundajatel ju hästi kõvad tagasitõmbamised olid kogudes eelarvetes tegevustes, on ju. Ja nii nagu aasta edasi läks või aastad edasi läksid, siis me saime aru, et pöörduti tagasi, eks ole, oma tegevuse juurde. Saadi aru, et ega ei saa siis nagu pikas perspektiivis jääda seda niisugust nagu istuvat positsiooni võtmast, et praegu on ka, et me nagu näeme, et kindlustunne on madal, põhimõtteliselt me peaks suuremate investeeringutega ootama ka turunduse mõistes, et ei ole mõtet ju minna sinna, kus praegu tarbimist ei ole ja samas meil on vaja hakata midagi tegema, eks ole, et me oleme nagu just, kui me vaatame järgmist aastat väga suure dilemma eest, et mida siis nagu teha ja mida mitte, on ju. Mis su enda soovitus turundajale täna oleks, on ju, et arvestades seda situatsiooni, seda ebakindluse ja tunnetust, samas mingis osas me juba nagu näeme ka kindluse poole nagu mineku.
No lihtsalt arvestada seda tausta, et kui tarbija on ebakindel, siis tarbija eelistab pigem järelproovitud lahendusi, ta tahaks selgeid siis kriteeriumi, mille alusel ta saaks selle ostuotsuse teha ja üks selline selge kriteerium on hind, et eks nad tahavad seda hinnavõitu näha väga selgelt. Ja selline, et väga uuendusliku asjaga välja tulla sellisel perioodil ei ole mõtet, et seda tasub kindlasti siis hoida võib-olla ajaks, kui kindlustunne hakkab jälle tõusma, et siis on, kui tõusma hakkab, et siis on ka hea hetk ka uue täiesti innovaatilise toote lansseerimiseks, aga praegune hetk ei soosi selliseid innovaatilisi tooteid, vaid pigem tahetakse selliseid vanu harjumuspäraseid tuttavaid lahendusi ja et seda, et ostja saaks teha selgete kriteeriumite alusel need ostuotsused ja selleks üheks kriteeriumiks on hind, hästi selge on, et on odavam, ei ole, see mulle pakub nagu mingisugust pikemaajalist kokkuhoidu ja nii edasi, et
Kas me võiks siis öelda, et kui me kuulame ka seda tulevast Mesut Sakali intervjuud, kus on välja toodud, et praegu on selline nagu hoidmise teema hästi suur, et lojaalsuse nagu hoidmise teema, et see nagu kõnetab, et sisuliselt 2025 tegelikult peaks rohkem panustama olemasolevale kliendigrupile, nende rahulolu tagamisele, tuttavate lahenduste pakkumisele ja mitte niivõrd proovida otsida ja püüda neid uusi kliente sinna uute pakkumistega.
Ja uute toodetega, et kui see uus toode järsku selgelt nagu midagi muudab lihtsamaks tarbijate jaoks, siis kindlasti see saab olema hea lahendus, et nii nagu kui pandeemia tuli on ja siis ühe lahendus, mis oli tegelikult suhteliselt uus on ja innovaatiline, eks siis e-poed on, eks, nende ju osakaal ju järsult kasvas on, eks, aga see pakkus inimestele turvalist ostlemist, et kuna ostukeskkondades ostlemine oli siis seotud igasuguste piirangutega, sa pidid distantsi hoidma, kassade juures oli järjekorrad, pidid olema mingite vahedega, on ju, lasti sisse teatud arv inimesi, see oli niisugune stressi tekitamise koht, et siis kui sa pakud sellises olukorras, on ju, ta võib olla täitsa innovaatiline, aga ta pakub nagu oluliselt siis mingit turvalisemat, mugavamat, lihtsamat lahendust, et selline toode võiks küll lennata.
Samas, kui sa ütled, eks ole, et tuttavlikud keskkonnad praegu mängivad suuremat rolli, et meil teine uuring, mis meil just välja tuli, oli siis kaubanduskeskuste uuring, eks ole, mis näitabki tegelikult traditsiooniliste kaubanduskeskuste jätkuvat populaarsust, jah. Ülemiste keskus juba väga mitmendat aastat, eks ole, kõige enim soositud ostukeskus, jah.
Et siin oli turbulentsem see aeg kuskil 10-15 aastat tagasi, kui Roka ja Ülemiste kohad vahetusid pidevalt, et ja selle taga olid nagu ikkagi nagu suured muutused ka kaubanduskeskustes endas, et kui Roka laienes, siis järgmine aasta oli Roka selge esimene eelistus, siis laienes Ülemiste, laienemise ütleme perioodil, et kui need laiendusi tehti, et siis ta oli mingisugust ebamugavusfaktorit tekkisid, et siis see maine võis korraks ja ka ostude tegemissagedus võis langeda, aga järgmisel aastal tähendas see kindlalt tõusu, et nüüd viimased aastad ju ei ole ükski kaubanduskeskus oluliselt ju laienenud, et see turg on muutunud üsnagi stabiilseks, enam ei tehta selliseid äkilisi kaubanduspinna suurendamisi, nagu see oli 10-15 aastat tagasi.
No me näeme selles uuringus ka, et T1, kes on olnud sellises nagu küsimärgi positsioonis pikalt, et kas ta leiab enda nagu sellise omanäolise strateegia, omanäolise profiili, et on hakanud paranema see kuvand, eks ole, et ta on suutnud saavutada natuke teistsugusema kaubanduskeskuse meelelahutuskeskuse positsiooni.
Just, et ta on, tema pakkumine on muutunud, ta ei paku tooteid, vaid ta on muutunudki rohkem meelelahutuskeskkonnaks, et kindlasti see potentsiaal Eesti kaubanduskeskustel on veel kasutamata, et sul ei peagi kõik tooteid olema seal füüsilisel riiulil, vaid kuna kaubandus liigub või on liikunud viimastel aastatel selle e-kaubanduse poole, mis on nagu kindlasti nendele füüsilistele klaas- ja betoonkarpidele tõsiseks konkurendiks, et siis ka selline profiili muutus on ka sunnitud, et sa pead otsima nagu sellel pinnale mingisuguseid uuemaid lahendusi ja meelelahutus või mingite muude teenuste pakkumine on siin väga mõistlik, et koondada kõik ühte kohta, et meelelahutus, aga samal ajal ka ütleme mingisugused fitness on ju, siis ka erakliinikud on liikumas siis kaubanduskeskustesse, et Stockmannil on 5. korrus, üle poole on seal mingisugused medikum on seal on ju.
Et võib öelda, et tegelikult need sammud, mida on teinud vähemalt tarbijate suunas, T1 on mõjunud nii, et tarbija on hakanud aru saama, et midagi toimub, ta on teistsuguse kuvandiga, eks ole, me ei tea lõpuni, eks ole, kas majanduslikult on see jätkusuutlik ja mis sealt saab, on ju, aga arvestades, et kaubanduskeskust juhib ju endine turundaja, Tarmo Hõbe, eks ole, siis võiks öelda, et ta nagu ikkagi on lugenud tarbija soove ja ootusi päris õigesti.
Jah, et kindlasti on kogemustega inimese, kes tunnetab klientide vajadusi väga hästi, et ei oskab nende vajaduste suunas siis ka midagi pakkuda, et kindlasti on see läbimõeldud tegevus ja aga selles suunas turg liigub üldiselt, et kaubanduskeskused on oma profiili muutmas ja nad on sunnitud seda muutma just selle e-kaubanduse üha suurema osatähtsuse tõttu. Ja
jällegi selle traditsioonide hindajad või ütleme, et sihukest, et inimesed on harjumustes kinni, et see näitab ikkagi seda, et jätkuvalt teist-kolmandat kohta hoiavad Rocca al Mare ja Kristiine keskus, eks ole, ja nendele järgneb siis kaubamaja, kes on teinud väikse hüppe, eks ole, ja Viru keskuse suhtes. Et selles mõttes jällegi vaade sinna, et võib-olla alati see uus ei ole see, kuhu me tormame, me tahame ikkagi seda kindlust saada, et kus me käime, seda me ka teame.
Aga sel turul ei ole ka seda uut pakkumist, ei ole ju uusi kaubanduskeskusi, nii nagu seal 90-ndate lõpus hakkas järsku tekkima ja esimene oli Rocca ja siis tekkis neid juurde, Kristiine ja siis tuli 2004 tuli Viru keskus on ju, ja Ülemiste oli seal kandis kusagil, et neid järjest nagu seeni kasvas on ju, et sellist nagu uue tekkimist ei ole ju olnud viimased 5-6 aastat, et midagi uut ei ole.
Emoril tuli ka just välja viimase poole aasta raadio kuulamise numbrid ja see näitab meile järjekordset traditsioonide austamist, et Vikerraadio kõige enim kuulatav, Raadio Elmar teisena, Sky Plus, Star FM, et sellised nagu klassikalised raadiod, mida me nagu teame, neid me armastame kuulata ja mitte vähe, eks ole, et kogu kuulamist on ikkagi üle 4 tunni päevas, mida on ju kolossaalselt palju minu mõelest.
Jah, et selline hästi pikaajaliste traditsioonidega valdkond, et kus see, et ma tean täpselt, et mida ma sealt saan, mängib suurt rolli, et kindlasti sellist kanalite vahetamist, nagu see oli kuskil 15-20 aastat tagasi, kui kanalid ise olid kujunemise või profiili otsimises ja uued tekkisid, et seda switchimist on kindlasti vähem, et ma tean ja ka kindlasti kanalid ise tajuvad paremini oma kuulajat ja üks eripära on veel, et see mis soosib seda vanemate raadiojaamade osakaalu tõusu on see, et turg või raadiokuulajate profiil muutub üha vanemaks, et vanemaealiste osakaal pidevalt kasvab seoses noorte palju väiksema juurdetulekuga.
Nojah, aga et see jälle nagu, mis see meile kommunikeerib, on see, et traditsioonidest tuleb arvestada, me turundajana reeglina nagu tahame tormata kiiremini, seda me ka arutasime eelmine kord, kus me nägime, et turundajad eelistavad digitaalseid kanaleid, kus kindlasti on ka palju tarbijagruppe, erinevad sihtgruppe, aga üleüldine sükene vastuvõtt reklaamile on ikkagi veel traditsioonilistes meediates väga tugev, eks ole, nii et iseenesest on tarbijad veel traditsioonilises meedias olemas, nende kõnetamine on seal olemas, et seda võiks siiski veel kasutada, mis ei tähenda, et digitaalsed kanalid ei võiks juurde võtta, eks ole,
Yeah.
Welcome, Mesut Sakal. You are the managing director of Kantar Media of 3 different regions, yeah? Central Europe, Central Eastern Europe, APAC, which is can you explain those regions? Yeah.
Sure. I'm actually looking after for Nordics and Baltics, which was recently taken on as a new challenge. And before that, I was handling Central and Eastern Europe, and I still do, and Asia Pacific and Africa. So
the very wide range.
Yes, yeah? Yes, it's very very big and definitely keeps me busy.
Yeah, thank you for coming here, and we are speaking today about consumers and the consumer attitude towards media consumption. So you will have a presentation later on today in our marketing conference, yes, as well, so we can discuss the matters you are talking there as well. Mm-hmm. So what do you think? It is very good time at the moment to look ahead, because we are finishing a year and we are starting to plan, or you should already plan the next year. What are those bigger trends now, what the marketers has to consider when they are planning next year in the consumer habits? What is going on in the wider scene there?
Well, I think a lot has changed over the past few years, especially with the effect of pandemic and all that. But a lot has remained the same in a way. So you still need to, as a marketer, understand who you want to reach, how you want to reach them, what is the most effective way of reaching them. So in that sense, nothing has changed, because you still need to do your homework and really understand who your target profile is and how you want to reach them. But in terms of purchasing habits, there has been a lot of change. People have obviously a lot more options now that is available to them, but in the past the budget wasn't a concern for them, so they would probably buy on different factors when they are making a purchasing decision, whether that be at a grocery store or at a mall buying clothing or other things. So now the budget is one of them that you have to be considering. Is it pricing that you need to be playing on, or is it the quality? So you need to understand the profile of your consumers and see how they have changed and evolved over time, so you can actually place your product according to that.
But can I say that promotions are still very effective way to do things? But brand is also important. It's not that we are forgetting the brand, yeah?
Of course. I mean, it's imagine brand as building a long-term equity, right? That's what it's all about. So, and a lot of the time, as marketers needs to understand the right marketing mix that gives them short-term results, which we are all unfortunately have to deliver on, but also think about their brand's longevity and invest in their brand, so which comes with other means of reaching the consumer and giving the right messaging to them.
We have like discussed with in our podcast as well. So what would be the good split for doing things like promotional or performance marketing and the brand building? Do you have any suggestions there? Because I can tell you that what the overall suggestion is to do it in a B2B market 50-50 and in the B2C market in 60-40. What would be your suggestion there?
Well, I would leave that question up to our marketing professional colleagues, since I'm more into audience measurement and trying to understand that. But the right mix of blend, and the answer is always it depends, right? I mean, it's just like who you are as a brand. Who are your consumers? Once you understand that, then you can make some of those decisions in an informed way, because there is definitely not one size fits all. Yeah. Because it may be a 60-40 approach, but if you're a discount product or brand, then maybe you need to be doing a lot more of those. So it just depends on what it is that you are actually offering to consumers. And then you need to understand that. So again, the key is understanding your consumers, who your target profile is. Once you understand that, everything else becomes a little bit easier, because then you know who your core client portfolio is, where you can grow, and then you need to decide, okay, how can I incentivize them to buy more of my services or product.
Yeah. So macro environment is changing all the time. How much this actually influence the decision making of consumer? What is the biggest thing at the moment we have to look?
Well, I mean, if again, I'll bring the conversation back to media industry, because it's evolving and transforming. So we used to have only a few channels available to us in order to reach the masses. That was the only way that you can actually reach them. Now that's not the case. I mean, even this podcast is going to be reaching a lot of people, hopefully, and they will be listening to it. So it's not, TV is definitely not the only medium to reach people. So then there is digital means that you can actually reach, whether that be platforms like YouTube or Meta or other platforms, but you have number of different ways you can actually reach consumers or people. So you need to be careful where you are actually putting your content, because not every media outlet has the same effect. So and then when we look at people, because of these digital players come in, everybody said TV is dead, and TV is for sure has lost some of its share in a traditional sense.
Yeah, but streaming is growing. Yeah.
Yes, but the streaming is growing, exactly. So they transform themselves. So it's not just linear TV they offer. They also mimic what the digital players do. So they all started offering video on demand services, very much like the subscription services that you see through Disney or Netflix or Amazon. So broadcasters in many countries now, and that number is increasing, they started to act like a native digital players, subscription video on demand services. And some of them are ad-funded services, what we call AVOD. So they act more like digital players. And when you look at the digital players, I'll take Netflix for an example. They are the market that they used to enjoy. That was a huge growth in that industry, because there were very few players available in the market, but that number has grown. And there's intense competition now with a lot of alternatives in the marketplace. So they are not growing as much anymore. So and definitely keeping up with the demand and always managing your library to make sure that people are continue to come back and be interested in your catalog. You need to definitely understand the audience's preferences. So what Netflix has done, they've done two radical things. One of them, they started acting more like traditional TV stations. So you can no longer binge watch every piece of content that's available in Netflix. So, and then they have this cool-off period where they drop one new episode of a program or content every week. So it's, and again, very much like traditional advertisers. And they started also tampering with the tiered membership. So it's you can actually have an option to either pay a little bit less, but you have to see some ads. So and yeah, many consumers are saying, yeah, I'll take the discount. Thank you very much, and it's okay. It doesn't bother me if I see 2 minutes of advertising or whatever that is. So, and Netflix is going back again, very much like traditional TV stations. They are coming up with an ad-funded model. So yeah, it's changing everywhere. So this is a direct effect of environment changing around us. So people in the past might be not really that worried about spending $9.99 on a subscription service, but now they are on a budget, and because of the economy, and they are having to make decisions whether they continue with that subscription or not.
Netflix even have live sport events coming. Yeah, now it's a boxing match, and it's very similar to the traditional TV. Yeah. It gives the opportunity for the marketers to show again longer commercials, because when we went to digital, the problem is that you can only like show very short formats, and this is problem of when you try to tell the story of the brand. So it's in a way it's good transformation from in the same ecosystem, but it's in the digital form, so you can more precisely target, which is again important in marketing, like you said. So everything comes down to the person that we're trying to get.
Absolutely, and that's what we are seeing, because now when people are on the go, for instance, they are not as receptive to receiving a message. So what they watch is different while they are on the go. So they do maybe short comics, they do educational things, and things that they can do, and especially on a small screen, as you said. Whereas on a bigger screen, when you have a number of people, that it's a social event in front of a bigger screen. So you do it as a gathering of friends or family, and then you do it with number of people along with you. Then it becomes a big screen, a social event, as I said, and then you do it together, and then the preferences change as well. So it's different than the smaller screen on a big screen. So completely different viewing habits.
But have there been any big changes in the overall time we spent in watching the content there?
Well, I think
last years.
Well, I think that people there's a finite number of hours that you can do things, and I'm sure there has been some shift as to what the viewing figures have been, but the number of available hours that you have has been around 5 hours, 6 hours, somewhere in between, and depending on the country to country, of course, there have been changes. But what we see is it's very constant, the number of times number of hours that you spend in front of the screen.
But
so,
it shifts. Where you actually see it, it's different,
Yeah, obviously. I mean, it's so if you, and then there's, the TV, I think it's around 5 hours a day. I think the figures from Latin America for the last 3 years, 5 hours and 16 minutes daily average in 2022, and 5 hours and 10 minutes daily average in 2024. So it's pretty constant,
But it's still a lot.
Yeah.
5 hours somebody's watching, so it's when they are working. But you have monitored so many different regions,
Yes.
and also when we are talking about TV screening or similar. So can we approach in a similar way to all those regions where we are planning a global strategy? So the same genres they are watching, those same TV shows, or is it totally different depending on the region and the country?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be talking about it later today at the conference, and the attitudes are definitely different from country to country. So we've done a TGI Global Quick View study, and we looked at the attitudes toward ad-funded models of people. And then we noticed that there are number of countries that are basically spending 30 days on a free subscription services, which is free of charge. And then at the end of the subscriptionship, they cancel it and then they pick on another one. And then they do this, and there are countries where actually they don't do that. So you cannot have the same strategy in those countries. You have to be different. The second example I can give is the preferences in the genres. So if you, we looked at again using the similar study in 2023 and 2024. If you look at United States, they are 41% more likely than rest of the world to prefer drama, which is straightforward, right? If you think about it. So it's a drama, everybody watches drama. And then Argentina, 32% are more likely to watch soap operas. Again, very sensible, seems like a common sense. But would you have thought that in South Africa, they are twice as likely as the rest of the world to watch spiritual and faith programming?
Totally different.
Yeah, exactly. And then, and Germany, they are 40% more likely to watch environmental programming. And in Indonesia, animation and cartoon programs are twice as likely as the rest of the world. So there are definitely differences. And I don't know if you've seen the Squid Game. Have you seen the Squid Game?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's definitely a very resounding success around the world. We posed a question to our respondents: who wishes to watch more Korean TV programming? And 32 million connected consumers said yes, they wish to watch more Korean programming. And to my surprise, 74% of them are women. So to me, that was a discovery. And then 40% of them are between the ages of 16 to 24 years old.
But this is interesting because it shows us that new channel types like Netflix plus the streaming was introduced us something new, something different, like we just saw, and consumers were willing to watch it, and it was for them very interesting. And it wasn't before that, because it was like a very traditional way how we would show different shows, and it was that we have tried out those different genres, and now we are letting ourselves to the new content, and these figures are showing that this is successful, and it's also changing the content that is presented to the consumers. Yeah?
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, Netflix and the likes, I mean, they haven't done anything, they haven't changed the way that entertainment is still entertainment. The way that we access it has changed entirely. So I remember in the old days, I would go to Blockbuster and rent a VHS, and I would just take those, or then DVDs. Then we started renting DVDs from, and we would take those and then come back home, and then we would have 2 days to bring them back. And if they would have like $1 a day on Wednesday or something, that I would go and just grab 2, but I would have to return it the next day, because if I don't, then there would be late charges, etc. So I think Netflix has seen something in there, and they could change that, and the way that they came up, that was very disruptive, and I don't think Blockbuster made it, right? So there is no Blockbuster anymore, whereas in the past it was, they are in every corner. So yeah, they changed and they transformed that, and they made it accessible, and that whole experience made a different experience for us globally as well. And then as a result of having access to viewers across the world, that also made the content to travel as well. Yeah. So now, it used to be only Hollywood movies that traveled across, but now you see a lot more programs like the Korean ones, or the Spanish ones, or the Turkish dramas that are very, I think outside of United States, they are the next one to export a lot of content around the world. So you see a lot of content traveling as well, and these are all the ways that we behave differently as a result of evolving technology.
But what do you think about doing the commercials or doing the ad strategy for the regions? Yeah, if we see that the content that is consumed is in some ways different because of the genres that is preferred, but in some ways it's universal, like you said, and it's not anymore like Hollywood. It's something else as well. So if you are preparing commercials for different regions, different markets, where should we start? What do we should think about it? Like, what is unites us, or what is different? Should we be local? Can we be global? What would be the correct position there?
Well, again, when you look at the global brands, I think McDonald's Corporation is a really good example, and in fact I have one example of their commercials that they actually they have aired globally, a very resounding success in retaining a consistent, impactful message, a brand message globally while resonating locally. So they basically, in the example that I don't know if you can actually share the link through the podcast, etc. But in the UK and in the Saudi Arabia, the same message was played, same message, same script, but they used local actors. So they adapted. So you have to adapt your messaging a little bit, but the message that you want to give, which McDonald's is very famous and successful of, consistent quality, no matter where you go, you see it. So they have delivered the same consistent messaging everywhere, using local actors, adapting the message to local needs. So that's key, and you definitely need to again understand the local nuances and differences, and change or adapt your messaging accordingly.
So it makes sense because people are traveling, and when they are seeing from the same brand different type of main messages, it is confusing, yeah. But if the message is consistent, but it uses local people to deliver it, it makes more sense for them to receive it. Yeah, it's the way we are looking at it.
Yeah.
What about customer journey and the touch points? Because every touch point is, it could be media, it could be something else like service type of things. Yeah. When you are looking, it's either to get new customers in, or we have already customers and we are speaking with the existing customers. So retention, yeah, the loyalty. Are there any changes there? So what approach should be, like to concentrate more to the new customers, or to work with existing ones at the moment?
Well, again, we touched upon it in the beginning. So understanding the key drivers in the consumer's journey. What are their criteria of choice, and what factors are becoming more important to them? So, for again, going back to the study that I have, we definitely find that the shoppers are changing their decision-making priorities. So, loyalty scheme, going back to the discussion on economy, shows 53% increase in the last 5 years as an important driver. But also locality. So they say that they like to shop at their local grocery store. And there are also some factors that are becoming less important, and at least to a lesser scale. You prefer quality or the product. So so perhaps we should be looking at pricing over quality in some instances if the consumers are becoming more price conscious. So you definitely need to understand that. And then since the pandemic, online purchases have become mainstream. Yes, and then we all agree. Even my dad, it transformed the way that he shops. And he says he no longer goes to grocery store. He just, with a click of a button, he gets whatever he wants. And because his eyes are not that good anymore, he says they even bring better fruit to him because he doesn't choose and pick, and that kind of thing. So yeah, but it's changed. But we need to look at the bigger picture, because the big picture is the entire population and the whole world, right? So not just a subset of what we hear or read in the news headlines. So 80% are shopping, but 20% of them are not shopping online. So could this be an opportunity for you to grow and the area for your brand to grow? You need to consider that as well. So when we look at the data, we also see that there are new audiences emerging away from demographics only. So remote workers as a potential segment, they are heavy online shoppers. They are very receptive to advertising, and they represent 38% of workers in Great Britain. So it's a large opportunity, And how are they different? Well, they are impulse shoppers, and they are convenience seekers. They are eco-conscious, heavy shoppers, receptive to advertising. So the possibility open our mind that there are other segments of the population that can actually be bringing us greater opportunities. So we need to keep an eye.
It's very interesting that you say that the figures are showing that the remote workers are acting a little bit different. And for marketeers, it's quite good news that their attitude towards advertisement is positive, yeah, and it makes sense because the beginning of the advertising is basically, or where it came from, is to inform, yeah, and of course they need information because they are sitting at home. Yeah? What should I choose or what should I buy? So it makes sense. The data makes sense in that matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Retention, as you said, is the key focus. So imagine yourself in a grocery store, and the economy is heavily impacted, and because of that, you are conscious of your budget. So, but also you have an array of goods available, or the services. So whether that be in the grocery store or sitting at home, you have many choices. So it's difficult to attain loyalty, and therefore the messaging needs to be very, very right. So oversupply of services can contribute to higher churn rates and decline in loyalty. So you need to be really, really careful on the right messaging to reach the right target profile.
So again, person is sitting at home doing online shopping, maybe not home, maybe somewhere else, but doing online shopping. There is so many opportunities now. With what should I lead? Yeah, whether to have some confident communication from the brand that's saying that be our customers. I will give you some extra benefits for that.
Yeah, well, the value proposition, going back to it, that's what you need to focus on. So it's you need to convince that specific target group the value that your products or services offering is the right one for them. And then you need to do it in a frequency that is right for him or her, because if you overserve, then it may have negative impact on the behavior. But if you underserve, it may not give them the right message. So there are nuances in what you do, and that's what we as marketers have to figure out and find the right platform, right time, and right frequency to reach that. So hopefully then it turns into a conversion for them.
So loyalty programs have been hard for marketers because it's very hard to find like a right angle what speaks to the customers. Yeah, and now we see that this become more and more important. So there, for one thing that we should success to the marketers is to really look at the programs and what should they offer there in order that the consumer will stay with them. Yeah? So this is one thing for the future that have to consider for sure. Yeah.
Well, I mean, consumers by nature are eager to try new products, but often cannot afford or engage with all of them, right? Because there are so many choices, so you cannot really go and try every single one. So, and that leads to frequent switching. So they use this product for a while, and then they switch, go to a new product, etc. So to mitigate this, I think businesses focused on creating compelling value proposition and loyalty programs, and that's what they are designed for. And so the customers keeps coming back. But understanding what drives, again, the customer satisfaction and loyalty is essential for reducing churn. For example, subscription services that offer tiered membership, which we touched upon earlier, or exclusive content to that individual, can incentivize people to longer commitments and reduce churn. So we also talked about Latin America, how they actually, after 30 days, they just drop the service and switch. Maybe if you know that, then you can give them an access to exclusive content or maybe design a longer term commitment. Instead of 30 days, I'll give you 3 months trial, or maybe you can just give them a free movie exclusive access or something to actually stop that churn. So you need to really find ways to engage with them and stop it. So
yeah. So I ask from a lot of marketers, what is the the way they are conducting that strategy, whether they are putting media channel first and build everything around media choices, or do they come up with idea and then look at different media channels that is most suitable for performing this idea. So what is your approach, or what would be your suggestion to tackle this problem? Yeah?
Well, I'm gonna be sounding like a broken record here, but for me, I mean, there is no one right way to do things. So let me put that as a statement out there first. But first, if I'm a brand, I need to understand who my consumers are, and I need to intimately understand them. So I know what drives their decision making. I need to understand their priorities. So once I understand that, the next question becomes, okay, well, this is the profile that I need to reach, and the value for my product is resonating with this kind of target profile. So once I understand that, then how can I find these people in which places? And you need to understand that as a next step. So once you understand that, then you need to understand, well, are they receptive, or are they in a good emotional state to receive the messaging that I'm trying to give them? Maybe people on the go may not be as receptive because they are in a hurry to get someplace. They have different goals, and so maybe they are not even listening and paying attention. Maybe that's not the right time to reach them. So maybe they will be more open when they are back at home. Yeah. And relaxed after they had some coffee or tea, and they're in a lot better mood, then maybe that's the right messaging to reach them. So you need to understand all of that. Then you need to tailor your marketing and media investment decisions around that. And to me, that's the winning success, because otherwise you may be reaching the right people, but not at the right time. So you need to not only know who your profile is, but you also need to know how to reach them, but when to reach them.
So, okay, the question comes from basically, historically we have taken commitments from bigger media outlets, especially TV, and then we had to do adjustment in our creative part, because we have already the spaces there, and it's all about reach and frequency and budgets there. But now you are saying that because of the media is changing, and we saw like the TV going to streaming and a little bit doing the same things but in different ways, maybe there isn't any more places to go there, that we have to take those commitments. Yeah, we still should follow the first rule, what is our consumer, what they are at the moment watching or consuming, and that would be the thing that they have to decide upon.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, the world is hybrid, right? Yeah. So we talked about earlier how the native digital players becoming like traditional players, how the traditional players are becoming digital players. So YouTube used to be only on small screen. Now they are trying to be more and more on the big screen and acting like TV, traditional TV broadcasters. So that's definitely going to happen. But to me, as a consumer, you know, I watch what I want, when I want, however I want it. So I don't pay attention if it's a linear TV or IPTV, or if there's a piece of content, I watch it on video on demand versus live. It just depends on what it is that I want to do. So I think definitely people are conscious of good content, and again, going back to understanding what they want and delivering it to them. So if you are a digital medium and you are delivering it, they could care less about what it is. So it's in that sense, I don't think it matters what medium. It's just understanding the consumer, going back to the discussion.
Yeah, but for marketeers, it's still, they have to decide whether agency of record, the one who is leading a strategy, is media strategy or the creative strategy or the like advertising strategy. So this is a big question for them. And then when we are tackling this, or we are going this way, that basically, okay, let's think about to whom we are addressing the communication and how we should do it, then it should be coming from the advertising agency. And then we will negotiate with a media strategy for strategy. But it is difficult decision, actually.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, nothing in life is easy. So it is difficult, and that's why we have media planners and experts. So the creative messaging that your ads deliver, that has to be the right one. And there are tests to understand through focus groups and all that to understand that. So, but that's one thing. And then once you get the right messaging through the right creative, where are you going to place it? Because is that creative or piece of ad that you have is the right one in that channel? So you need to understand all of that, and then once you understand it, then it becomes buying the right spot at the right time to reach the people. But yeah, you're right. It's difficult said than done, and very few brands are getting it right consistently. Yeah. So that's why you see some brands that failed over the years, and some still around.
We see a big trend in content marketing, because we have so many new possibilities to have content out there. Do you see, or have you seen data about what is going on with a smaller channels, like influencer marketing, for example, which is also a channel, yeah? It's a living channel, and it's in different platforms, but there's still something is changing, yeah? Do you have any what is going on there? Should we watch also this, not traditional media, but the new media types that we can also
Well, I mean, influencer marketing maybe not as popular now as it used to be, but still popular, and there's still people investing and then trying to get the message through the influencers. And I think or product placement, also another one, and they try to do that. So that's always going to be there, and you need to watch it. And but again, finding the right influencer, is that influencer the right one for your brand? And because you are taking a risk on and associating your brand with the influencer. So and yeah, there are definitely studies on how effective influencer marketing is. Off the top of my head, I cannot give you an example, but yeah, there are studies how effective they are. Through our ad expenditure services, we monitor that around the world, and who are the influencers that gets the biggest brands. So we try to monitor that as well. But again, going back to understanding your consumers, you need to be even if you want to decide which influencers that you're going to work, you're going to have to understand your consumer, and then is that the right influencer for your target profile is the next question.
Yeah, but what about the other formats? Like, for example, we are speaking here in podcast. Why is podcast is growing so much? Why new channels? And it's in a way it's it's like a regular radio show, but it's not in a channel of radio. It's just a different channel. What do you think? Why these new channels are speaking to the customers?
Well, it's because it's niche, right? So it's I mean, it offers something to certain interest group. I don't think. Well, I might be wrong. This is an assumption, but I don't think a doctor would come and listen to a marketing podcast.
I'm sure.
And or little kids would be, or young people, unless they are in marketing major, would come and listen to this podcast. So you are actually reaching to certain interest group, and that certain interest group is coming and finding your podcast because they are interested in the subject. And because of technology, it's accessible to them. So this podcast could be accessed in Asia Pacific or in Africa, wherever. It doesn't matter. If they get the right keywords, then they would be able to access. Technology made it easily accessible everywhere, and then open up the potential opportunities for your audience. So that combined with the niche offerings that used to not be available because you were only limited to linear, and then everybody fought about that space, and then they picked and choose what content to put in there. Maybe you didn't find that your content was appealing to masses, you didn't get a space in there, but now you created your own space and then you offer it, and that's why as a result of that and with the technology you find other audiences.
So we talked about Netflix, the wide range of offerings there. We talked about different regions that consume different type of TV genders, and it also resonates there that you are speaking about the podcast, niche information, but it's available, everybody can deliver it, and that's why it's growing in popularity, and the platforms make it available for everybody everywhere.
Absolutely.
So it makes, again, coming back to the marketers, not anymore very easy to plan the media. It was very easy in a sense. We had some TV station, we had some outdoor media and newspapers, etc. And there was not infinite number of solutions that we could use, but nowadays the solutions are out there. So again, you are right. We should watch who our consumers are and what they are watching or consuming, but still to tackle this very difficult. What would be like from your point of view if there is a lot of choices there? So where should they start? Where should they get the data about it? Because they have to have some type of data in order to plan something.
I think a lot of our marketer listeners would agree with me when I say there is tons of data out there, but not enough connected data. Okay. So you definitely need to understand how the behavior end-to-end is. So cross-media audience measurement is very important because then you understand the same person, how they behave, how you reach them on TV, how you reach them on outdoor and radio, etc. So you need to understand, or which websites that they go visit, etc. So you need to understand that in order to be able to reach them. And for that you need connected data. So one thing that I can mention is that advertisers are very aware of this, and they started this initiative called Halo, where they actually try to understand their campaigns' deduplicated reach and frequency across all media types. And they actually had 2 markets that they piloted this, so they are paying for the research and building up their own panels and then adapting their virtual ID models so they can get the deduplicated reach and frequency for each campaign. The reason why they are doing that is because exactly the same thing. So they want to understand how effective the medium that they are using is. So then on the go, on the flight, when they are actually launching a new campaign, that they can actually say, well, if I'm reaching the right target profile on TV, continue to invest on TV advertising. But if it's digital, then I'll go into digital and increase that little bit. But within the digital space, maybe Meta is performing better than YouTube or vice versa. Then you need to be able to adjust all of that to get the right mix. So, and then to do that, you need to have connected data, and that connected data through initiatives like Origin or Aquila in the US, which is international advertisers or World Federation of Advertisers are launching, are key. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that being used in the future while the marketers are making their decisions.
So basically you're talking about attribution model. So they should know what type of channel attributes the most and what type of mix is the correct one for them. Yeah? And it will give them a more confident way to tackle this very wide scenery of media channels.
Yeah.
And it is again something that bigger marketers here as well tackle, and they try to find the right solutions, because again from point of view of theoretical side, if you are bigger you can use more channels. If you are smaller, you cannot use so many channels. Now, again, there was some numbers of channels before, but now it's infinite. And still they have to do the decision where to be, because they cannot produce the content for everybody, every channel. So it's still not very easy task, but as you mentioned, for that they had to have partners like Kantar Media, yeah, because Kantar Media can basically offer these types of connected dots data.
Absolutely,
yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's what we do. We measure television audience in more than 65 markets around the world. So we know exactly what they are watching and how they are watching it. And not only that, but we also do through our target group index offering. We know their lifestyles. We know what they are purchasing and how they are purchasing. And we can connect those dots. And that's why I think WFA has chosen us as a partner both in the US and also in the UK to deliver this Halo framework for them.
What do you think next year, year after that? Will there be any bigger changes, or will it be like small changes in a way people are consuming media, and when we are trying to figure out what type of channel mix to do?
Well, I mean, it's again, it will depend on a lot of factors to estimate, and I don't think it's going to be the same everywhere. Just like the digital transformation. So I'll give you an example. In Romania, TV viewing has not declined at all. So they are still very dominant, and they still spend a lot of time in front of TV. Whereas in US, it's a totally different story. So not every market is the same, and there are other things behind it as well, right? The infrastructure is another key factor, and in what we do and how the technology is accessible, etc. Not the right internet speed in every country and things like that. So it's hard to understand. But one thing that we know for sure is content is the key, right? So
still,
of course, yeah. Always is, because, and that's why you are seeing a lot of franchises like Marvel and all that. They are investing in that because there are huge number of fans out there that loyal to that. So Harry Potter, how many people have seen that? You know, how many people have seen Marvel movies when they come out? So there's a huge fan club across the world. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, you need to, if you have a good piece of content or good piece of product or services, people will come and find it. But you need to make them aware of it. And then to make them aware of it, you need to make it accessible to them, and whole distribution strategy, etc. But that is the key. So you need to have at the heart of everything, you have to have a good content or good service or good product. Once you have that, then getting the word out there to the people. So and how you reach people will always do what is convenient to them, what is accessible to them. And in some markets, digital means is it. In some markets, TV is it. But finding the right mix for different target profile, even within the country, changes. Which is why you need to understand audiences, how they consume media in each country for different age groups. Once you understand that, it gets easier. But to me, I don't think there is going to be one standard way of doing things. For different age groups, there will be different types of media consumption. In different countries, there will be different genders, different. So it will definitely vary.
But as you are monitoring different regions and have been done so quite a long time as well, when we are sitting here, for example, how the trends are following. So where should we watch what is going on, like from US or from Europe, or what is the flow of the trends, what you have like witnessed?
Well, again, as I said, it's and I of course look at these things with a audience expert lenses. So we see that right now, I touched upon it earlier. So many countries are trying to understand the cross-media consumption of consumers, because that's the key. So they need to understand the behavior across all screens so they can monetize their content better, right? So then if they are losing money on linear, then they need to recover that from digital, because people want to access content digitally. They could care less if you actually offer it there or linear. So you need to be available there as well and be accessible to them. And then once they access to it, then you need to quantify that and show the value to the advertisers, and then you also compete in digital ecosystem. So that's the trend that we see. More and more countries are definitely looking at understanding the cross-media audience measurement and investing in technologies to measure that. And again, the key driver there is to monetize the content better and to show the value to advertisers that their audience is more valuable versus other. Mm-hmm. And as they are doing this, I think their business transforms and their business model transforms as well, because then all of a sudden they are not a traditional broadcasters, they are native digital players as well, and then they compete against the likes of Netflix, Amazon, etc. So then maybe it requires partnership, because you need to have online catalog that can compete with that. So those are some of the things. We see a lot more partnership going on around the world. People definitely collaborate and try to have a better digital strategy going into it. So we see some of that, and then we also see the joint industry committees around the world. So they are asking questions like, well, do we need to create a super JIC where we are responsible of every single media type?
Okay.
And then so we also measure not only linear TV, but we also do digital, because the technology is similar, and then it's a single source. Can we do that? But it's easier said than done, because these joint industry committees, even if it's only one TV JIC, it's hard to make a decision within those bodies, because not priorities are the same for all the broadcasters across the ecosystem. And then in that bunch you throw in radio, or you throw in digital, etc. That makes it a lot more confusing. So it remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, advertisers are determined to create efficiencies and connect the dots, so they can understand how they are reaching the people and at what frequency, and they want to deduplicate that. So they want to understand exactly who they are reaching, how frequent, where. So, and as a result of that, we're going to see more and more initiatives like that they are doing in the US and in the UK around the world.
But reach and frequency are still the cornerstone there, yeah?
Yes, deduplicated. Yeah. Deduplicated reach and frequency. Why? Because we said it earlier. So if I don't want to annoy you with my advertising by showing it to you like 15, 20, 30 times, and then it has a negative impact on my brand. Yeah. Or I don't want to show it to you just once, maybe twice, because then you forget about it. So it has to be the right number of frequency that you see it. Hopefully that will lead to conversion.
Throughout different channels.
Exactly.
Like playing the touch point places. Finally, about artificial intelligence. So a big buzzword, and not many more buzzwords. A lot of marketers actually use some type of things. What do you think, or what do you see artificial intelligence is like already giving to the media industry, or the channels or the content that is delivered?
I mean, I'm not an expert when it comes to artificial intelligence, obviously, but some of the things that we see, it can do so many things easier. So I always look at it in simple terms. The way that I understand it is AI is, definitely a super powerful assistant to you. Yeah. It makes life much easier, much more efficient. But it's definitely not going to replace humans. I don't believe in that. But what it does, so you can create a lot of content, a lot of script using AI. That definitely reduces the time span that it takes to create content, because you can actually, with the right directives into commands into AI, then you can get script at least the skeleton of it, and then with the human eye you can just adjust, tweak, and all that, and that speeds things up. And then if I take it back to media industry, so if you have that, then it creates or it actually reduces your cost, and it takes the time it takes to introduce new content away. So then you can actually adapt AI to accelerate that speed to create new content and reduce costs. From an audience research perspective, then you need to have people who understand these tools to understand and analyze the audiences. If you adapt AI, then you can understand that. And with a one command, then all the analysis could be done. So it's definitely going to help us and transform our industries in which ways that we cannot even imagine yet. But I don't think we are there just yet. But I think it's going to speed up very quickly. And I think we will see the real benefit of it very soon.
Thank you, Mesut, for coming here, taking the time to have this discussion. We have a lot of information from you, so it's very interesting.
Well, thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. No me kuulsime nüüd Mesut Sakali rääkimas sellest, mis meid nagu suuremas pildis kõnetab, ja me näeme seda, et maailm on eripalgeline, et erinevates regioonides on meedia tarbimine mingis osas erinev, eks ole, et suured trendid on sarnased, et me näeme traditsioonilise meedia nagu mitte kadumist, aga muutumist, eks ole, et TV on endiselt TV, aga see form on teistsugune, et ta on striimitav, eks Voog edastus, ja seal me juba näeme ka teatud reklaamimudelite peale tungi, et mitte maksta siis teenuse eest. Mis su tunnetus on, et kas me käime Eestis sama teedkonda nagu maailm või oleme me nagu, ütleme, et väga palju maas või oleme seal suhteliselt palju ees mingitest regioonidest, et mis su tunnetus selles osas on, kui me meedia tarbimist vaatame sellisel kujul?
No meie meedia tarbimisharjumused, et minu kogemuse alusel on ikka kujunenud väga pika aja jooksul, et ja seal on kindlasti seda konservatiivsust ja inertsust palju rohkem kui nendes ütleme kiirelt arenevates riikides, mis jäävad meist oluliselt lõuna poole, India ja Filipiinid ja Kagu-Aasia üldse ja kusagilt siis ka ütleme Lõuna-Ameerika, et kus on seda võib-olla neid traditsioone on vähem ja kus sellised ütleme järsemad mingid tarbimisharjumuse muutumised on võimalikud, et mingid võib-olla etapid jäetakse üldse vahele, et see on nii nagu selle arvutitega, et süle arvutietapp jäeti vahele, et kohe liiguti sinna mobiilse interneti poole, et mobiiliga on internet enamikele Indias või sellisest kõrvalriikides kättesaadav. Ja eks kindlasti, et Eesti meedia tarbimine on pikaajalise traditsiooniga, muudab selle inertsemaks, et aga uued võimalused ju aitavad kaasa ju liikuda sellise erinevate eelistuste suunas, et kindlasti, et need, kellel meeldivad maailmas globaalsel tasandil palju kõmu tekitavad hitsarjad, et neid sa ei saa ju kusagil ju tavalisest lineaarsest telekanalist, et sinna need hitsarjad jõuavad ju mingi aja hetke pärast juhuslikult ja üksikud, et sa pead kasutama mingisugust siis pikemaajaliste lepingu, ehk siis voogedastus mingid programme, et kus sa saad ligipääsu sellistele ütleme siis globaalsetele hittidele ja kus pakkumine on tohutu lai, et erinevate žanrite ja nii edasi mõttes, et ja kus ka nagu Mesut rääkis, et kus see paljusus, pakkumise paljusus on kasvanud, et sul on võimalus seda voogedastust võtta täiesti reklaamivabalt või natuke vähem makstes taluda natukene mingisugust osa reklaamide näol, lisatuna reklaamitarbimist sinna, et see maailm muutub mitmekesisemaks ja kindlasti, et kuna tarbijate huvid on mitmekesised, et see kõik see uus meediamaailm võimaldab sellist siis killustumist ja hargnemist, et sul on võimalus siis vaadata seda, mis sulle tõesti huvi pakub?
No ma mõtlen jällegi nagu turundajana, kui sa planeerid oma tegevusi, et ma mäletan, sellest on võib-olla mingi 15 aastat tagasi, ma mäletan, kui ma sinuga arutasin seda teemat olles Teres, et ma tahtsin olla innovatiivne ettevõtte, see tähendab, et nagu turust natukene ees teatud tarbimistes on ju, et kui protsentuaalne jaotus oli veel traditsioonilise meedia kasuks, siis ma tahtsin nagu muuta võib-olla nagu oma strateegias hoopis digitaalsust sellest esimeseks ja siis me arutasime, et kas on see õige minna kanalitesse, kus veel kogu tarbijaskond ei ole jõudnud, on ju, protsentuaalselt rohkem. Ja noh, et see ongi nagu raske, eks ole, et mis positsiooni sa ettevõttena oled võtnud, et kas sa nagu proovid selle innovatiivse kuvandi saamiseks minna ka kanalitesse, kus võib-olla juba tarbimine on, aga mitte sellisel määral veel, eks ole, või siis olla nagu noh, pigem nagu minna nagu tagalt tulijana kaasa, et lasta nagu tendentsidel toimuda ja mitte minna nendesse uutesse kanalitesse. See on alati nagu küsimus vist strateegias, mida sa nagu tahad, mis kuvandit sa tahad jätta ettevõttele.
Jah, ja need uued kanalid kindlasti võivad ka sinu enda kuvandit natukene muuta. Et üks näide natuke teisest valdkonnast on ju poliitikute valdkonnas, kus üks poliitik, nimelt Jüri Ratas, on ju keskendus, ütleme siis, ebatraditsioonilisele meediale, sotsiaalmeedia kanalitele ja selle tagajärg on see, et Jüri Ratas on hästi populaarne just noorte hulgas, mis tema vanuses poliitikutele on pigem eripärane tulemus, et tavaliselt tema vanuses poliitikud juba pigem on siis, kui nad on kuskil populaarsed, on siis pigem vanemealis 50+ sihtrühmas on, aga Jüri Ratasel on väga tugev positsioon ka alla 35 aastast hulgas.
See on nüüd huvitav, eks ole, et ta on mõnes mõttes saavutanud selles sihtgrupis hea nagu tuntuse, mis traditsiooniliselt ei taha üldse poliitika poole vaadatagi. Ja nüüd on küsimus, et kas see aitab teda valimistel, eks ole, et me teame ka seda, et see sihtgrupp ei ole nii aldis valima, eks ole. Nüüd on küsimus, kas ta, noh, praegu ei ole küll valimisi, aga et kui oleks valimiste situatsioon, siis kas ta nagu suudab oma sellise eeskujuga neid aktiveerida üleüldises mõistes, eks ole. Ehk ta teeb nagu tegevust, mis on huvitav, on saavutanud populaarsuse seal, kus varem ei ole saavutatud. Ja noh, küsimus on selles, et kas see aitab teda pikas perspektiivis, kui see sama seltskond kasvab, eks ole, ja kui ta on jõudnud sellisesse nagu staadiumisse, et ta mõtleb, et ma peaks ka panustama, lähen ja valin, on ju. Või selleks hetkeks on tema selline kuvand sealt juba nagu kustunud, sest ta oli populaarne sellepärast, et ta tegi mingeid asju, mis kõnetas just seda vanust sellel ajahetkel. Ja siis vaadatakse, et no ma teda nagu väga ei, sest ta tundus nagu selline natukene nagu trendides, mis täna üldse ei ole nagu temaatiline, nii et see on nagu huvitav strateegia, mis siis nagu näitab tulevik, kas see üldse mängib nagu kätte nagu plusspoole pealt või mitte, on ju.
Noh, seda on raske prognoosida, et sa ütlesid, et no noored on kindlasti passiivsemad, on ju. Aga samal ajal, kui sa oled saavutanud seal positsiooni, et siis seal on võimalus ka saada hästi suur ülekaal, nii nagu noorte, ütleme, poliitilised eelistused ei ole nii killustunud, nagu ütleme keskealiste hulgas, kus see killustatus on palju suurem, et noorte hulgas on pigem siis kas üks või teine, et seal ei ole sellist nii suurt mitmekesisust kui vanemealiste hulgas, et kui sa saavutad positsiooni, okei, sa pead arvestama seda, et neid on vähe, nad on passiivsemad, aga seal on võimalik saada hästi suur või kõrge nagu siis osakaal.
No miks ma selle peale mõtlen on see, et ma olen elanud läbi seda omal ajal Kalevis, eks ole, et suur küsimus oli alati sellises nagu teismeliste sihtgrupis, kes tarbib teistsuguseid tooteid, ta ei tarbi väga palju neid, on ju, aga ta on vahelüli lapseeast täiskasvanusse minekust, on ju. Ja me teadsime seda, et me peaks eraldi arendama siis nagu tooteportfelli selle jaoks, selle tooteportfelli nagu ülevas hoidmine on kallis, sest ta ei tee sellist käivet, eks ole, on ju, ja samas kauplustel on ju vaja nagu ikkagi asjade suhtes seda liikuvust, on ju. Ja vähemalt ütleme, et siis 2000 keskel me otsustasime, et me ei lähe sinna sihtgruppi ja me võtame selle riski, et kui me ei paku sellele teismelisele seda toodet, on ju, et ta ikkagi tulles tagasi teissugusesse nagu vanusesfääri, ta avastab enda jaoks selle kõnetava toote ja tuleb tagasi, aga see on risk ja sellepärast ma nagu toon seda näidet, et Jüri Ratas võttis teistsuguse lähenemise, et ta ikkagi nagu kõnetab seda gruppi eeldusel ja lootusel, et üks versioon on, et ta siis ka saab kaasatuda juba seda gruppi sellel ajal, kui ta on selles samas vanuses, aga et see sild on ehitatud, on ju, ja nüüd teised, kes ei kõneta, siis ootavad lihtsalt seda, et kui tuleb see vanus sellesse eks ole, aega, kui ta reaalselt on huvitatud poliitikast, on ju, et siis nad lähevad peale nende teemadega. Need 2 erinevat strateegiat, on ju.
Jah, aga see, mis puudutab noorte seda tarbimisaktiivsust, et see, või sa ütlesid mahtude poolest, nad on aktiivsemad, selgelt aktiivsemad, on ju, aga need mahud võivad olla ka ikkagi kordades suuremad kui järgnevatel põlvkondadel, eriti maiustuste mõttes, et see on hea kogemus, et kui sa käid Kaitseväe puhvetites, siis sa näed, et kuidas noored mehed ostavad kilodega on ju šokolaadipatoone ja igasuguseid maiustusi, et need kogused on meeletud võrreldes siis järgnevate eluaastatega ja tol hetkel, kui mina sattusin seda nägema, siis oli 10 aastat tagasi Kalevil puudusid tegelikult.
See oligi see otsuse koht, sellepärast, et neid asju toota, need on mingid konkreetsed tooted, eks ole, sa vajad teistvuseid liine, eks see on nagu äriline otsus, eks ole, kuhu sa investeerid ja siis sa vaatad seda potentsiaalselt, eks ole, tarbijaskonna suurust ja ta lihtsalt ei mängi välja, et noh, et sellepärast ongi nagu, need on sellised dilemmad, millega turundajad kokku puutuvad tegelikult.
Aga need tarbimismahud võivad olla nagu ikkagi meeletult kordades suuremad.
Ütleme, kui sa mõtled isegi per inimene, eks ole, see võib isegi nii olla, aga suures pildis neid ei ole jälle nii palju, kui me vaatame kogu rahvastiku kokku, eks ole, et need mahud ei mängu välja. Võtame tänase selle episoodi kokku, on ju, et me rääkisime alguses, et seoses valimistega, eks ole, see kindlustunne nüüd on jällegi nagu küsimus, me pigem soovitus on täna mõelda, et 2025 tuleb pigem alalhoidlik, pigem traditsioone nagu järgiv, võib-olla hinnatundlikum aasta, võib-olla ei ole hea mõte päris uusi lahendusi tuua, välja arvatud juhul, kui need parandavad olemasolevat pakkumist, eks ole.
No muudavad selle lihtsamaks, mugavamaks või odavamaks.
Ja selliseid võib-olla suuremaid muutusi võib-olla siis võiks täna nagu mõelda 2026 aasta nagu algusesse, kui sa planeerid oma tegevusi.
No näis, mis järgmise aasta algus toob, et me võiks rääkida sellest järgmise aasta jaanuaris, et ma arvan, siis on esimesed märgid olemas, et mis suunas üldine, ütleme, kindlustunne võiks hakata liikuma.
Ja, aga no see on hea ennustus, me saame tagasi jäldata, kas me nagu tunnetame seda turgu õigesti või mitte. Aitäh tänase vestluse eest ja nädala pärast jälle räägime.
Aitäh!